And running that intro thing, my brother. Eureka. I'm excited. What's this intro right here? I got something for you.
Some magical one, huh?
Oh yeah, I got something for you. Right?
Hey, we're leveling up today. You know it's hot today, right? You know what I'm saying? That's that one up.
Alright, here it comes. Hey. Welcome to Playmaker as fuck. I am your host, Bogard Scott Free. And right out the gate, I want to introduce a man who really needs no introduction, but I got to because I respect the man and I respect the craft. I respect him on several levels. I'm introducing to you the sex symbol, the gold medalist at the sex games.
Hello.
He's the sex reverend at the sex ministry.
Keep it going.
He's the sex icon himself. Fuck Trey Songz, this motherfucker invented sex. I'm introducing to you
Hey man, I appreciate the love though. You know, so I'm ready to get it popping though. You know, let's dive into this thing.
Hey, you know what? I think I fucked up. I almost want to do that thing back. I don't think I did it enough justice. I'm over here. I got no voice. You know what I'm saying? You know what? We'll just Jamaican horns. We'll just throw some Jamaican horns in there.
Let's get it popping.
Let's get it popping. We're gonna handle this quick housekeeping. Follow us at the GMM Network. Follow me at Bogard Scott Free World, and follow the sex icon.
You know it.
Where you following? Where are they gonna follow you at?
CEL_ HNMG. You know, cell one underscore and my music group.
That's CEL _ HMNG. Hey,
don't forget the one.
Don't say the one. He is the one. He's the one. Cell one. I'm sorry. I didn't. It won't happen again. It won't happen again. All right, man. There's so many ways we could approach this, but at the end of the day, it's all about just building this timeline. Oh yeah, one more thing before we get to the timeline. Shout out to our sponsor, Milk and Honey, for all your CBD wellness and all your CBD goodness. Go to www.milkandhoneytx.com. Also check out episode 1 through 6. Playmaker as fuck. They're all available. This is episode 7, lucky number 7, and we are lucky to have the sex icon once again. I'm telling you, I almost want to redo the intro. All these other sex. All these other sex references are popping up. You know what I'm saying? Like out of nowhere now. All right, so check us out. Let's take it back to the beginning, if we may. You know what I mean? I know as cliche as it sounds, but I want you to take me back to when you was a wee tyke. You know what I mean? Obviously, music is all part of our lives. You know what I'm saying? But I want. Can you remember an album or an artist or a song or one of those ones that you were like, okay, and you were like, no, I'm about to do this. I'm about to rap. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people. It happens at different times in life. For me personally, I was like in 4th grade. I was like, I'm finna rap. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Can you take us there?
You know, it's crazy. I'm an R&B baby. You know what I'm saying? My dad plays live instruments. You know, so I grew up. You know, obviously listening to live instruments. You know, so that genre, bro, is like, to me. Rapping's easy, right? When you out there playing instruments and you singing and you doing all this stuff.
Yeah, like real musicians.
Exactly, like that's real. You know what I'm saying?
I never call myself a musician. Artist at most, but yes, I mean, back in my day, I might have played the bitch. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Is that an instrument? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
So for me, you know what I'm saying, I felt like, I wasn't really, creme de la creme on that level, but I've always had like a musical background. I was more into sports and, doing my sports thing. My dad is a musician. He traveled, all across the country, so I can remember him throwing me in the van when I was 8 or 9 years old. And I was going on tour with him. Right. So, it's just something that I grew up with, something that's just embedded in me. But, I was going the sports route trying to do that, and, go through there. But, and when you always grow up in that environment, it's always going to be in your blood, So, once you get out of high school, you do your thing and did my thing a little bit in college. And, I'm at a standstill. So, I'm 18, 19, what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, I still love music, what I'm saying? But what can I do, And to be in my family, if you ain't at the top tier as far as musician-wise, playing instruments and doing that, then you got to do something else. So that's when I grabbed the pen and the pad, and I was like, let me try this rap thing out, Let's see what we can do there, So it took off from there, man.
So were you getting in the lab already at that time, or was it like, were you, because, like, of course, motherfuckers would be freestyling with the boys and shit, but like, when you took the pen and the pad, because, that's different. That's separate. Totally different. Like, check this out, Playmakers. You could be a rap artist, you know what I'm saying? Or none of rap artists. You could be, like a battle rapper or a freestyler or whatnot, but it's a totally different ball game when you put that pen to the pad. And then even it's another transition when you go from the pen to the pad to spitting that joint in the booth. You know what I mean? It's definitely an art form in itself, and I think we, a lot of people kind of take that portion of it for granted because, you know what I'm saying, like, it's kind of the unsung hero, like, the recording process, you know what I mean? And so take me through your process, like, when, so when you first started writing, was obviously he was fucking a gang of bitches, so I'm assuming. I mean, he is the sex icon, right? You know what I mean? But I mean, was that a lot of the inspiration, like, of your first bars? You know what I mean? Because like for example, when I was a child, I started smoking weed, like, maybe 12, 13 years old. I mean, I hate saying that, like, it sounds wrong saying it out loud. I was a child smoking weed, right? But like,
your truth is your truth, though.
Yeah, and before that, I used to rap like other motherfuckers' verses. You know what I mean? Like Tupac verses. And then when I started smoking weed, now I was rapping about smoking weed. I was like, I got something to rap about now. You know what I mean? Like, so take me to some of your early writings. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're finding yourself, where. Was a lot of the inspiration from that good pussy that you was smashing?
So here's the crazy thing, I think as I progressed in life, my music became different, So back then, I was on your deal, you know what I'm saying? Like, I started freestyling with my boy Artist, If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be rapping because he was the rapper. I wasn't the rapper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was just supporting him and what he was doing. So we'd be in the car, you know what I'm saying? Be off that good, Kush, whatever it was back then,
Right.
And we'd go to start freestyling, you know what I'm saying? So, we'd be take an 8 to the dome, we'd just be rapping and that
just rapping over the radio too, huh? Just fucking whatever's on.
Beats or whatever. And that was truly my friend, and that was his passion. That was what he had done, but because, of my background and what I came up with, I just gravitated towards that. So I took the long route, bro. I can compare it to a baseball player. I went from single A to double A to triple A to the majors, you know what I mean? I went from freestyling, you know what I'm saying, not even touching the mic, bro, to going into the booth my first time, just freestyling, to writing, you know what I'm saying, understanding the concepts of writing. And back when I was coming up, bro, studio time was $50 an hour. Bro.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? It was expensive as hell.
There wasn't no accessibility like Pro Tools at home and shit. Like, it wasn't the norm yet. You know
exactly. Like, you had to really be about that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the way the game has changed too. When I was coming up, you had to really have a passion for it because $100 a week is a lot of money.
Fuck,
you know what I mean?
Especially when you're a kid. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Fuck yeah. Because you're thinking about them Jordans you might get or whatnot. Like, you're really sacrificing things when you're a child. And when you're a child or an adolescent, at this point, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, certain things like that, like, I mean, because it was the young stages of the sex icon where it was like, I got to be out here having sex with all these bitches, but I got to get in this lab. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you're going to get me in trouble too, because you know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen.
I always had to be you.
Listen, allegedly.
Yeah, exactly.
Allegedly. He's the alleged sex icon.
Yeah, man. So it's just baby steps, So I was truly banging out 4 songs in a session. If I had an hour, I would do 4 songs in an hour. So, that's when the freestyle
That's a hell of a
was playing
work
around.
etiquette right there.
You would have to, though, because you couldn't afford nothing else,
Okay, so check this out. I want to cut you off for a quick second. In this series, I like to point out things whenever you say some fly shit or some brilliant shit, and so Playmakers, what he's talking about is having a solid work ethic. He said if you got 4 hours, he doing 4 songs. You know what I'm saying? That would be $200 right there back in this day. You know what I'm saying? And like, there is no reset. Like, I fucked that up. Restart the time. No. Once you're on the clock, you're on the clock. So work etiquette. You could tell someone's work etiquette, and you can automatically tell they're passionate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and you can tell they're not by if they have shitty work etiquette. That's not even a word. We're making it up.
Etiquette.
Yeah. All right, but go on.
They know what you mean, though. They know what you mean.
So you're knocking several tracks out. You're smashing broads. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, so take me from there. By this time, are you like in your early 20s?
Early 20s, yeah, early 20s. And I'm still supporting my brother. You know what I mean? We're going on shows. And I'm hype manning for him. You know what I'm saying? I don't even have my own.
And this is the artist. This is the
artist.
Shout out to artist.
Yeah, shout out to artist, because artist was a staple for the city for a long time. He got a lot of people going.
I remember that. Too. I remember seeing that name on flyers and shit back in the day.
Yes, bro. He was a big dog. You know what I'm saying? And he did Battle of the Bay, which was pretty big. Grand prize was to win an interview with Sway. So it was a big deal. And he went deep in that tournament, man. At one point in time, we thought we was gonna fake it. I mean, he made it all the way to the finals and stuff. So, that's kind of when it was, pretty big. And he got me on stage with Soldier Boy, at the Civic Center.
Shout out to Draco. King Draco.
So it was crazy.
Sell what? Sell what?
And this was early, you know what I mean? This is kind of like, it's almost pre my career, you know what I mean? So, he kind of, got his thing going. He moved out to Idaho and stuff. And I felt like, okay, let's keep the ball rolling, keep the ball rolling. So we started a little label called The Fam, and I always rolled with that, and we kept it rolling, man. Kept it going. So I kept recording, kept doing songs, and I kind of came out in the forefront after that, and it was all history from there, man.
Yeah, so I'll take it to a point in the timeline where I had just closed down my studio. Because, I'm talking about like maybe 2011. I had just closed down my studio. There's a motherfucking, it was just like one of those things where now we're full on in the era where everybody got Pro Tools, everybody. So having a studio, paying for a spot, to me at the time wasn't really necessary because it was more like a jump off spot. You know what I mean? Like I was, there was other things that were bringing in the revenue, not the music anymore. So, or not the studio time at least, right? So I closed down my studio, and at this time, I'm just rocking at the crib. Like I moved back to my pop's house, right there off of Aborn at the time, and I get this phone call. I'm working every day. I'm just in I'm in my garage. I'm just, it was kind of one of those things where I was like, damn, when I had the studio, I was looking at it more like a business. I was barely getting in there myself. And then now that it was gone, I missed it. And I'm just knocking tracks out. And like at the time, I was doing a mixtape called the Tequila Mixtape. Basically self-explanatory. Just every day, a bottle of Patron. And we're just knocking tracks out. I'm calling over different producers. You know what I mean? Shout out to my boy Chadai Chan. He was he's one of the illest producers I know personally. He was also one of the illest engineers, and he just loved to get on one. So like he would just he would just be busting them down. I would be shooting shots of Tron and just knocking these tracks out. And then so now I'm calling over the who's who, right? And in this case, I call Bosquatch. Shout out to Bosquatch first of all.
Yes, sir.
I call Boss. I'm like, yo, I need you on the mixtape. He's like, I'm on the way. And when he comes through, I didn't know that he was gonna do me the honor of bringing through the sex symbol, the sex reverend of the sex ministry, the gold medalist of the sex games, the sex icon himself walks in the building, and he was real quiet and observative at first.
Yeah,
I kind of think, I've come to realize that's part of your character. You like to just kind of fall back sometimes and peep the scene. You know what I mean? and I know, normally you only speak up whenever like you like, you know what I mean? Like if there's some bullshit, you'll speak up like, hey. That's why
I'm not
me and
feeling
you,
that.
yeah, that's why me and you have several great Drake debates, right? But because I'll be saying some bullshit, and you're like, no.
Yeah,
Right? Right? You're like, no, that's not how this thing's
Really
going.
back in, bro. Really back in.
Right? So check this out. I'm doing this track. It was called Now and Later, and it was on some player shit.
Yes,
and
sir.
then like you go, hey, who's on this joint? And I was like, it's me and my boy right here. And then Boss Squatch was writing, and then I go, fuck it, Boss, write a 12. Let your mans get on there too. You know what I mean? And this is still during the time I didn't care about no fucking like 3 minute song or damn near 4 minute songs. I didn't care. I didn't give a fuck. And that song was so hard till this day. And like,
it was a banger, bro.
yeah, and it's kind of I love the universe because then you we're fast forwarding a little bit in the story, but now I'm fucking with HMNG, and then you come through, and by this time you got the dreads. Like this is pre-dreads.
The evolution,
you know what I'm saying? Like, the time I was talking about in my studio garage. Or my garage studio, that was pre-dreads.
I was like a one on top.
Yeah,
and the barber.
And he was a little bit slimmer. He was a little smaller weight class. You know what I mean? He was,
absolutely.
Yeah, he was. You know what I'm saying? He had to cut weight for the sex Olympics.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Probably super welterweight back there. You know
Yeah.
you
know what I'm saying? And like, I mean. We're sitting. So you walk into the HMNG studio, you sit down on the couch next to me, and Drake had just dropped like Scorpion or something like that.
Right.
And we were.
It might have been earlier than that.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Was like,
I think it might have been the playlist one. What was that called? Thank Me Later, or If You're Hearing This Is Too Late, some shit like that.
Yeah,
it was one of those joints.
What do you say? It's about like 2014-ish or something like that.
Yeah, maybe 2016.
It might have been like nothing was the same. Or if you're reading This Is Too Late, probably.
But I remember just shitting on Drake. Shitting on him, and then you're like, bro, why you too far? You're like, bro, why you hate on Drake so much? And I swear to God, I was like, because he's fucking dope. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm hating on him. Why you hate him? He's a motherfucker. He's the best right now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm hating on him. I don't give a fuck. Drake, you know I'm DMing you. Get on the show already, goddammit. He's gonna. You know what? He'll get on the show now that when he finds out I got the sex icon himself on it. You feel me? Okay, so back to I want. Can you take us to during that time? Can you remember like were you the type of artist who I mean I don't want to say like whatever other artists influenced you, but can you remember like artists at the time when you were recording music that was like kind of motivating you and inspiring you? Like it was. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the Jay-Z's of the world, and I'm pretty sure Drake was already around at the time. But like, because who inspired the sex icon?
Definitely Jay-Z. You know what I mean? Like when I take my pen to the pad, I say Jay-Z and Fabulous for the most part.
I like that Fabulous call.
Yeah,
and the Brooklyn boys don't play it, huh?
They don't. I've always been an East Coast type of guy. I'm not talking like Wu-Tang-ish, when I'm talking like Biggie, you know what I mean? Jadakiss and, all those guys and stuff like that. Because I always felt like if you have something to say and you can kind of you can throw in some lines to where people have to think about it and they get it later, that brings me pleasure, you know what I'm saying?
Like Jay-Z would be like, survive the drought, I wish you well. You know what I mean? Like something as simple as that, but it's like so fucking ill.
Yeah,
survive the drought, wish you well.
Even Jadakiss had like one of the dopest lines of all time when he was talking about I'm gonna get bucks like Milwaukee, because like Sam I could sell. When you hear something like that, you lose it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I lose it. You know what I mean? Because it's like that brain power. You know what I mean? So I've always took pride in being one of the best writers in the room because I like to write. You know what I mean? That's what I take pride in.
Check this out, Playmakers. He definitely be killing these hooks too, and that's something. So now take me that. Were you always ill with the hooks, like straight out the gate, or is that something that you developed down the road? Because like,
what's
like
crazy?
if I'm not in the room and you're in the room, I know that we're in safe hands. I'm like, all right, this motherfucker's gonna come up with an ill hook. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's crazy. That's just the growth and maturity of it, because
As a songwriter, huh?
Exactly. My son runs track, right? Track has different distances, right?
Yeah.
So
40
I tell
yard,
him,
100 yard.
Right. He wants to run 100. And I'm like, son, the fastest humans in the world are running that race. You know what I mean? And let's be logical here. What do you want? Do you want to be the best at one thing? Or do you want to be competing and clawing at something else? And in my mind and in my circle, I tell my kids, be the best at something. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what it is. So for me, for writing, that's what I took, So I never did, like I grew up in an R&B background, mind you, right? So it's always in me.
I could tell. I could definitely tell now. Like, that makes total sense when you told me that. You know what I mean? Because I am familiar with your music, and, it is melodic, and it is... You know what I mean? It's definitely baby making music, and I wouldn't expect nothing less from the sex icon.
Yes, sir. And that came with growth and maturity too. You know what I'm saying? Because if you listen to freaking 2003 me, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, drugs and guns and being niggas up and everything, right?
Right. I think that was pretty much the standard, right? That we're it's funny because the Playmakers, all you young Playmakers out there, I want you to realize that in the 90s, in the golden era, record labels, they were looking for gangster, drug dealing, hip motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Before Kanye, because Kanye, I could say that he kind of skewed the timeline where it was okay to be this college dropout nerd kid wearing fucking pink polos and Lacoste and shit like that. You know what I mean? But okay, so you got Jay-Z influencing you. You're already this sex icon at this point, right? When did you walk me through how you got involved with HMNG, how you met Prime One, you know what I mean? Because ultimately that's what that's where me and you are housed underneath the same umbrella. Shout out to HMNG.
Absolutely, shout out to Camp, man. And shout out to Prime too. I felt like at our stages, we had both had done a lot. Prime is a very, very accomplished person as far as like being music, and me personally, and how I am. I don't like to associate myself with people who aren't serious about doing
for
music,
sure.
Right?
Like even in the early thread, in the early days of our head nod thread, I remember you would straight up be like real assertive with you know what I mean? Like, listen, this is the order. This is how we have to do this. And I actually like that because, if you leave me to my madness, I'm all over the place. I need direction. So I never took offense to any of that shit. I was like, I like that. This motherfucker's like, he's leading a charge. You know what I mean? But it makes sense because he's the gold. How else do you think he won a gold medal at the sex games? The sex Olympics, goddammit.
And plus, you know what I'm saying? We ain't no spring chickens, right? We've been doing this for a minute, so it's like at the end of the day, you got to know where you're going at this point in time, and everything has to be structured. So, with Prime,
structure. That's a good word right there, Playmakers. That's a solid key right there. You have to have structure.
Yeah, and first is the foundation, right? So
because having talent isn't just enough. You know what I mean? Like you got to have all the ingredients: talent, drive, motivation, inspiration, whatever have you on the checklist.
Right.
And if you don't have it, one of the items on the checklist: surround yourself with like-minded individuals that might be able to pick up whatever slack that you have. Because when you move as a team, I mean, everyone has a role. You know what I mean? You can't. You said something that resonated with me earlier. You were telling your son, like, you basically told him, hey, you got to be the master of one, not the jack of all trades.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And that allows you to hone in and focus more. You know what I mean? Like laser focus is required sometimes. I mean, and I'll tell you this much: you make it look effortless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
And I think I think that comes with being a seasoned. A veteran. I mean, I don't say veteran by any disrespect, like we're old heads or anything.
Right,
I say that like a badge of honor, like seasoned vet. You know what I mean?
You gotta be comfortable with where you're at in life. You know what I'm saying? That's why I am, man. I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love the things that I've accomplished. And like you said, we got structure, you know, and P was that guy who was dope with the beats, and you know he can engineer, you know what I mean, and that was his lane, you know. So we were just building a team. We're trying to build, you know, like Voltron or you know, Power Rangers,
shout out to Voltron.
Fucking
for all you young playmakers out there, Voltron was before Power Rangers.
Voltron was me.
Power Rangers was ripping them off. They sure did, didn't they?
They did. You know, when you bring your fucking Captain America, whatever they can do, you bring Earth, Wind, Fire, all that shit together, you get Captain America, right?
Yeah, or Captain Planet. Captain Planet.
Captain Planet, there you go, Captain Planet. Yeah.
You know, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd at heart. I know these things.
Oh yeah, man, we all are, man. So.
Why did they all form? See, they were ripping off. They were hella ripping off Voltron. Like,
they were. But you know what though? That show is more deep.
That show was wet though.
The sub meaning to it, you know, like save your Earth, save the Earth. You know what I mean? Like this dude was like a super duper hero. You know, it taught you how to recycle and do all that because that's recycling wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, cool.
Hey, we need to. I think HMNG needs to get all rings. We need to get rings, man.
Be somebody different, right?
Right, and then we'll be able to summon the sex god. How about that? Huh? You know what I'm saying?
And just a disclaimer, he gassing me up. You know what I'm saying? I'm a lover. You know, woman.
Yeah. No, I'm giving the sex icon a hard time. Come on, you're one of my sex heroes, man. You can't don't tell the playmakers. Don't tell him it's a facade. Hey, he's the sex icon.
I'm ready to get settled down, so she out there.
He's a sex machine. He's over there pulling levers. He's pulling levers and hitting gears. He's a sex machine, goddammit.
Like MacGyver on this thing.
He's the sex MacGyver. You know what I'm saying?
That's hilarious.
I'm taking a shot for that. Tito's give me money. This shot's for you, my brother. Also. All right, now tell me what that conversation was like when you and Prime, you know, consciously were like, all right, we need to bring, start the collective, because that's when I entered the picture.
Right.
We were all like, I mean, shout out to Sundown Charlie. He was saying, he was saying this on the episode we did. He was like, you know, Prime had all these one-off artists. Like, in this case, me and Herb, we were kind of going in as a duo. You know what I mean? And like, he was just one day, he was like, hey guys, I'm gonna have this meeting. You know what I mean? I want you guys to come to the meeting. You know what I mean? And I'm like, word. And then, you know, he didn't really tell me nothing about it. And then all of a sudden, he started the group thread. And then like, I just, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I figured out like, oh, he's trying to start something, and he's trying to get a wave going. You know what I mean? And like, granted, the first couple meetings got rescheduled, and then I finally show up, and I was telling this to Sundown Charlie yesterday. I was like, I come through, I'm wearing straight up lavender boat shoes, and I remember walking up, and you have to get keyed into the lab. So Prime is holding the door open. I'm walking up, and he's like, lavender boat shoes, huh? And like, it was such a disapproval. I was like, I should have worn the J's. I'm like, and I don't know why I specifically remember that part of the story, but you know what I mean? I'm sitting there, and then there's Ready Rock, there's Clev, and you showed up at one point. Like, you know, this was kind of my introduction physically to some, you know, a lot of these cats that we've been working with the past couple years, and like, I'll tell you this much, man. I love what Prime did by collecting all of us under one roof, because, like, someone like you make me go back to the drawing board. Like, I hear your hooks, and I'm like, damn, this motherfucker killed that one. Ooh. You know what I mean? Like, I say that with all admiration. I guess that suffices, right? Like, I just admire good dope. You know what I mean? Like, allegedly, I'm from the underworld. You know what I mean? When you see some good dope, like, oh, this is gonna move right here. You know what I'm saying? Right, you know what I'm saying? He got the sex dope even. How about that?
Sir.
He got the dope dick. I mean, pause. All right, so now I guess you could say we're kind of up to date on the timeline, right?
Right, yeah.
So tell me, so I mean, I want to know more about the sex icon as a man and a father. I mean, because I respect you as a father, over everything, and I love what you're doing with your son, man. Like you're keeping his head in the books. You're keeping him training even throughout this Corona climate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how is your son? Like, how is your son? What's his outlook right now on things? Like, is he discouraged because of Corona, or like, is he just working harder? Like,
nah, kids will be kids. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day,
and kids are resilient.
Yeah.
Kids are pretty
resilient.
resilient.
Very resilient.
Yeah.
And honestly, let's keep it real, bro. They'd rather be at home than at school.
Hey, I am the opposite. I'd rather have them the fuck away. Bro, I love my kids. For the record, I love you, children. If you're hearing this, I fucking love you. But god damn it, when you're home all fucking day, and then you're up late because you don't have to get up in the morning. So you're up late. And then I gotta wait till your asses go to sleep. So I could stay, so I could have my time. And by this time it's like 1 o'clock. And then I'm up till like 4 or 5. Then I gotta wake up early for the little man. And then 7-8 days in a row of that, and I'm fucking madness.
You know, because they don't know as a parent, we gotta creep around our children.
You ain't lying.
We don't want them to know the real us, the late night us. You
Yo,
know what
real
I mean?
talk.
So we talking about in bed, so we 9 to 3 a.m. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Get our little sleep, get up, and become a parent all over again. And I'm a single dad, so I got a lot of responsibility as far as that goes and stuff too. So
you hear that, Playmakers? You hear that, Playmakers? The sex icon, when he takes all the sex titles off him. The title that never removes is the father title.
And father figure, man.
Yes, it's father
That's
figure. Even single father. And you know what's crazy? Is it a coincidence, or are you aware that women find single fathers that are really with the shit? They find them sexy. Is that so? Are you depriving yourself of a woman on purpose because of the sex icon ideology?
I wish I was that slick, but you know what I mean? I just dedicated myself to being with them because I feel like, you try to build a new relationship, that takes time. You gotta nourish that, right?
Yeah.
That gotta grow.
Woo!
Man, I'm just into my kids, bro. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. And I feel like I don't want nothing to take away from that,
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where I'm at. But I mean, if she pop up and she joined the, jump on the train, I ain't gonna be mad at it. But it's gotta happen organically.
But that train doesn't stop. That's the thing. Like, you wanna hop on, baby, all aboard. But you know what I'm saying? This thing's moving.
Exactly.
It's the goddamn sex locomotion.
Yes,
the sex locomotive.
Hey, what was the little train with the little cartoon they used to ride back?
Oh, that's Thomas.
Thomas is a new joint. What about our day?
I know what you're talking about. The one with the train station. It was like half puppets and half humans. Damn, what the fuck is that? I know that was that PBS joint right there. That it was like right before.
They don't know we was KQED babies. You know what I'm saying?
KQED, that's what it is.
And cartoons only came on Saturdays, bro. When we was these dudes got watching it all the time.
You know what's crazy? It's so amazing looking back, like how much directions I remember. I remembered phone numbers. I remembered how to get to places without using a device. I remembered I had a body clock. You know what I mean? I could stay up late on a Friday, but then my body clock would wake me up as a wee tyke because I gotta watch these goddamn Saturday morning cartoons, because they didn't show no reruns neither. And there wasn't no encore. It was like you had to. If I had to wake up and watch my Batman animated series and my X-Men.
You missed it, bro. You didn't get no reruns.
Bro, I was hot.
Reruns wasn't no thing,
And then motherfuckers on Mondays talking about, hey, did you see Batman? I'm like, shut up. Shut up.
You missed it.
So, all right,
hilarious.
So before we switch topics, back to your son. So he's playing football. He's a running back, correct?
Yeah.
And now you're working on his receiving chops, right?
Right.
Yeah, is he picking it up like second nature? Because you could tell natural catchers that they catch with their hands. You know what I mean? You're a football savant. You're one of, mind you, we will get into a little portion of some football because this is the brother podcast of the real fantasy playmakers, and but you're a playmaker as fuck. So I figure I got to get you on this one. I mean, I've been waiting to get you on the football joint. We are Niners, bang bang. You know what I'm saying?
Sir,
But
Niner gang.
yeah. But yeah. So is he a natural? Like his receiving chops are they natural or is it something you legit have to work on with him? You know what I mean? Because,
It's crazy. I would always be training him, because running backs are things. Like I'm on a long list. All my brothers, myself. That's the position that we play. So that's what I know.
I fucking love it. I think the running back is the most undervalued, but it's sad because it's also like it's abundant. Like they treat it like it's devalued. You know what I mean?
Right. Like you can just recycle. But if you have a super valuable one that can do it all, you're leg up on the competition and stuff like that. So the receiver world, for people who have kids and stuff like that, as far as youth football, it's 7-on-7. It's passing, so it's quarterback and receivers. But there's 80 trillion of them out there now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It used to be when we were growing up, the running back position was the one you played. Now it's not as many people, and here we go going back to
also because the money, obviously all kids aspire to get to the big league, and right. They a lot of them. I wouldn't blame young athletes for wanting to be receivers. Right. Because they see the bag is there.
More money, right. It's more and more luxury.
But like everybody, I think if you're a running back, you probably got the most jerseys in the stadium for real.
Absolutely.
Everyone loves, bro. People go crazy for a 3-yard run, a 4-yard run. Like there's nothing like a motherfucker right between the tackles, lowering the boom. Like, you know what I mean? Moving the fucking pile.
Right.
Fucking love that shit.
We know that by being Niner fans by looking at Frank Gore, right?
Frank the Tank.
Hey, slow as hell.
Shout out to Frank the Tank,
yeah, was not going to bust no 80-yard runs on you, bro.
No. And he's like the perfect like a center of gravity, you know what I mean? Like, cause he's like he's not too tall, he's not too short. You know what I mean? He had the ideal weight, and like he's kind of, check this out, Playmakers. Shout out to Frank the Tank, Frank Gore, friend of the show. But he was what I considered the jack of all trades. He wasn't super fantastic at one thing, but you could use him in every facet. He could block on third down.
Receiver.
Yeah,
excellent receiver too.
Exactly.
Catch that
and all us Niners, we have a biased opinion. We will tell you that in New Orleans, in the Super Bowl, we should have fucking ran it with Frank the Tank.
Absolutely, man. I mean,
right there, you know what I'm talking about. Instead, we go 4 passing plays.
As a 49er fan, just the history in general, that Roger Craig fumble killed us, right?
Oh,
Garrison Hurst getting injured. Remember when Garrison Hurst got hurt? That was our year. You know what I mean?
What was that, 98?
Shoot, 98, 99,
it was definitely the later 90s,
Yeah, and then even Frank Gore not running the football, So as a Niner fan, that running back spot, it hurts, man. Especially even with Ricky Waters, and now he left,
I think this is a perfect, shout out to Ricky Waters, but I think, is this a perfect segue to just, let's get into our Niner gang, you know what I mean? Like,
so, I'm with that.
So tell me, like, I mean, we could remember all the all the bad time, the bad incidences that are seared into our memory, right? Like, can you specify one moment in the last Super Bowl that unfortunately we lost to the Chiefs too? Like, and before you answer it, I for one, I love Patrick Mahomes. I was a Patrick Mahomes truther, and like, I mean, they need to go ahead and give a Super Bowl, honorary Super Bowl ring to the Titans, because the Titans did all the work for them. You know what I mean?
They did. They cleaned out everybody.
Yeah, and like, bro, like, I was like, I needed them to clean out the Chiefs, and it was unfortunate that they already beat the Chiefs in the season, and you know how that is, like having the best another team twice. Let alone a team that's not in your division, because when teams meet each other in the playoffs and they're in the same division, that's the third time they're meeting. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you're very familiar. Like, I mean, the Chiefs need to thank the Titans, but in the Super Bowl, like, can you specify like one moment, like what, you know what I mean? Like, for me, I think there was a few, but if I was to pinpoint one, I would say it was overthrowing Sanders. You know what I mean?
Right.
Shout out to Manny Sanders. He's out with the Saints. Thank you for your services. I don't know why he's playing football still because he is the heir to the KFC empire. He has all the money in chicken. He's Colonel Sanders' nephew. I don't know why the fuck he's still playing football, but shout out to Mayor Sanders. Can you pinpoint a moment in the big game?
So for me, it was basically that third down, right, when they're on defense. I mean, what are the that Tyreek Hill?
The
catch,
3rd and
right?
15.
Right, it's 3rd and 13 or something like that, right? Yeah, but
bring it up. Just bring it up.
First of all, the percentages of you converting are extremely low. The percentages of us actually winning the game at that point in time were very high. So just by percentage-wise, math-wise, gravity, Earth.
Yes. It's the gravity's fault, man.
Exactly. It's like, I can't have it, bro.
The world was spinning on its axis. You know what I'm saying? When Jimmy threw that ball, or when Patrick Mahomes threw that ball, the world was spinning on its axis. And
it's gotta be about a 20-something% chance, right, of making that. And I know a lot of us went through grammar school. If you get a 20% in the class, that's pretty much
right?
a solid F right there.
Like you coming back? You going to summer school?
That's like taking the final. The Chiefs basically had a 20%, right? And they took the final and they got an A in the class.
Wow.
That's basically what happened.
You know what? I think there's another moment that it's an intangible moment because I love looking at intangibles, and this one fucked us. It was the moment they started celebrating the W already. I feel like you couple that with the percentage because there's analytics on the sideline and they're probably telling the Chiefs, yo, you guys, there's a 13% chance or what, blah blah blah, like winning this thing. And then Patrick Mahomes was playing shitty all game. Then they go and do that, and he's probably discouraged, like, oh my god, I'm in the biggest stage and I'm fucking up, and like. And mind you, I've seen Patrick Mahomes do this a bunch of times where he'll have a bad.
Honestly, bro, that's the Chiefs' bag. You know what I mean? If you're up on them, for some reason they love that pressure, right? They love that comeback is what they love.
And when we posed and did that picture in the end zone, when we picked them up, Patrick Mahomes
Emmanuel E-Man, right? He got gets a pick, yeah.
Shout out to E-Man because we always liked him better than Witherspoon. You know what I mean?
Witherspoon,
right. Shout out to Prime. Shout out to Prime One.
Yeah, that was always a good one, our little group chat.
Yeah, that was a nice little run-on joke.
I was definitely trying to play the little devil's advocate in that one.
Yeah, because what's funny too is one time you had to clarify to me, like, bro, I don't really fuck with Witherspoon like that. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I'm like, dog, I respect your football perspective so much. I'm like, what is this? Are you a homer? I'm like, I know you're a Niner, but I'm like, damn, Witherspoon's trash.
It's kind of, let's get back to the chick. It's kind of like that chick you see out all the time. You with her every day, but you gotta make it clear, like, it's not my girl, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You introduce her as your friend. This is my friend right here. Yeah. Then when people walk away, she's like, why you always introduce me as your friend? Like, baby, you're my friend, all right?
Because I know people don't know, but
I'm the sex icon, goddammit, baby.
We always have football debates, so I was definitely trying to play the devil's advocate. But, honestly, to be truthful with you, too, I really thought Witherspoon would turn it around, but I did give up on him. Absolutely, I did give up on that dude, though.
Well, that's just great adjustments on the fly. I call that in-game adjustments. You're like,
absolutely. And there's two types of fans, right? There's one that watches it from TV, and there's one that goes to the games and watches it. Mm-hmm. If you watched Witherspoon in real time,
I know, bro.
He looked terrible.
Yeah,
bro.
and it's like, and offensive coordinators, they would zero in on the guy. You know what I mean?
On that guy, especially when you got Richard Sherman on the other side.
Oh yeah, that is true. Shout out to Uncle Sherman, even though you gave up that big one to Sammy Watkins.
At the end of the day, the first thing to go, your mind's there, the body's the first to go. And he was running against some elite speed guys, you know what I mean? So I was always nervous of that, There's nothing you can do,
Yeah, there's speed. Only speed or a nice jam on the line is the only thing that can stop speed. You know what I mean?
Right. And if you look at these receivers, they got something which is called a reverse release. So now what they're doing is they're on the line, but they're backing up a half yard.
Yeah.
To get that space.
Yeah, because then obviously, the corner is gonna try to get as close on the line so he can try to jam up.
Exactly.
You know whose jam technique is real phenomenal to me is Stephon Diggs, because Stephon Diggs. I'm sorry, Stephon Gilmore.
Gilmore, yeah.
You know what I meant.
He's an elite, elite quarterback, bro.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like he knows how to bait quarterbacks. He knows how to, he knows how to play off coverage. He knows when to play press. He's phenomenal. I think he's a gold standard right now.
Well, you know what? I actually like him, and then I like the dude from the Bills.
Oh my God, those his name, Tre'Davious White. Shout out to Tre'Davious White. Fucking love him.
To me,
he's in that class with him.
Exactly, him and Gilmore.
And I got you another one. Xavier Howard, bro, from the Dolphins.
Yeah,
nasty. I actually have them all higher than Jalen Ramsey on my elite corner list.
Jalen Ramsey's good too.
He is. But I have all those guys above him. Is what I'm saying.
He changed the Rams' defense actually a lot. He actually made them contenders overnight for sure.
Yeah, that is true though. I mean, they almost if last year we already had the 7 teams, that trade would have got them as the 7th seed. You know what I mean? Because they did end up finishing fairly strong. You know what I mean? Considering their up and down season. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With the Gurley situation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me ask you a question because I am a fantasy analyst, quote unquote. With the absence of Todd Gurley, who should we be looking at? Malcolm Brown or Darrell Henderson?
You know what? That's tough because I think the Rams will be running back by committee. Because Sean McVay's
because they're not Gurley. They're not Gurley. And when you have someone like Gurley, there was no choice. It was foolish if you weren't utilizing him in that facet.
And Brown's your ground and pound guy, right? They got the other cats, kind of
Darrell
be the receiver, Henderson to be the receiver and stuff like that. But I really feel like they're in trouble. They're in trouble.
Yes, I like to hear that. I was waiting for that. You heard it, LA, with your sorry ass new logo that no one likes.
I think what Arizona's doing, they're trying to get better, and they're trying to get better in a hurry. They're really making the moves to get better, right now. So I really think the Rams.
Yo, what the fuck is wrong with Bill O'Brien? What the fuck is wrong with this guy? This fucking wannabe Bill Belichick, where he's like, well, I'm not gonna pay guys when they're worth it. I'm gonna move on. I'm a good coach. And it's like, what? And then bring over someone like David Johnson. Shout out to David Johnson. But still, he's not DJ of old by any means. And then now who's gonna take the top off for that running back? You know what I mean? There's no more Hopkins there. I feel like they're obviously gonna get a receiver early in the draft.
Houston's always been that franchise to where okay is good enough. You know what I mean? There's always those franchises that will be in the hunt or in the playoffs, right? And the fans will continue to come, right? Okay is good enough.
Like the Cowboys?
Well, which is crazy. Honestly, real talk, the Cowboys aren't really like that, but they just aren't like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. They're just America's team.
They like that fat chick that still thinks she's cute because she hang around bad bitches. You know what I'm saying? That's how they are. You know what I mean? No, it's not you. It's the company you keep. You know?
Right?
Jerry Jones.
You're just sexy on basis of comparison.
Basically, yeah. They want to win Super Bowls, but they just ain't got it right. They don't got the structure. I think there's owners that are really detrimental to the organization, and the Raiders have one, right? Jed York was in the way for a minute with us, and then he had to figure it out, right?
Fuck you, Jed York, you dumbass motherfucker. It took you a while.
He did, but you got to turn the page on him. I really liked what he was doing, as far as bringing in, Lynch and, Shanny. Yeah. So, and Prague too, right? Prague. He brought Prague first. Mm-hmm. Yeah, before them. You got to bring in that guy who knows his analytics.
There was a nice stretch where Bulky was really legit to me. You know what I mean?
That's what we're gonna do. Should we get into our argument segment? Or?
No, like I said, there was a time. Like I said, it was a small window. But come on, drafting. Alden Smith, Patrick Willis.
Alden Smith,
you know
yes. I'll give you those two.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Bowman, come on. Deshaun Golson.
Those were high picks, though. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So.
You're right because only high picks go to losing organization. So
Losing
yes, yeah.
teams, exactly.
You know what?
Exactly.
I reserve the right to drop the baton in a debate. In this case,
Yeah, but
the floor
I
is yours.
I hear what you're saying, though. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, he did go Eric Reed, which is good. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, he just wasn't good on the offensive side. Like,
Shout out to Eric Reed. He got that. He got that bag.
Yeah, but for the Eric Reed, there's the Ellingtons, right? Or the Vance
The
McDonald's,
Bruce Ellingtons,
the Eli Harolds,
the AJ Jenkins of the world.
Right.
You remember AJ Jenkins, bro?
The dude drafted a punter high. Remember Pippy?
Yeah.
Whatever the dude's name.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Fuck Bulky. You're right. I retract my statement.
Joshua Garnett, you know, but Bulky was
oh my God, he said Joshua.
He was good on the defensive side, though.
Shit.
I give Bulky the defensive side.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Yeah,
because Jimmy Ward's playing well for us still, man. Like I think
and
he's
Jimmy
good
Ward
too.
was one of his last. He's one of the last draft picks from the, to note that we end up actually paying.
Tart was one of them too. You know,
I fucked with Tart.
Yeah, and Armstead too. So,
oh shit, that's right, 2017.
Yeah, Armstead was like his last pick or whatever.
I fuck with Tart.
Yeah, Kowalski's a great player, bro. He's a great player.
I remember a preseason game. It was us versus the Vikings, and dude, this kid Tart was making plays all over the field. And he was. When you're a rookie, you're playing like they let him start, and then then he played all 4 quarters. And I remember another thing in that game. Brian Hoyer, he had threw a big bomb to Marquise Goodwin, and it was all over fucking Xavier Rhodes, and I was like. I remember, and that thing fucked me up because I was all on Marquise Goodwin. I was like, well, I got to draft me some Marquise Goodwin. And he was a fucking bust until Jimmy came through. But it was, but I just remember from that game, I hella remember, what's his name, bro? Tart just all over the place, dog. Shout out to Jay Tart.
You know what's crazy, though, as far as being a Niner fan? There's something special about that safety position, man.
There really is,
we've
bro.
We've had some good safeties, even like, with Goldston and, Hitman. And, Ronnie Lott, of course.
Whitner.
You know what I mean?
Ronnie Lott, 9 fingers.
I seen him kill a guy. You know what I'm saying? That dude from the what's it called? That was back when football was still football, right?
Like, that was when it was real football.
Homicide on the football field, bro. Nobody cared, bro.
Hey, for playmakers, for those of you guys don't know who Ronnie Lott is, you motherfuckers just go ahead and look up Ronnie Lott, bro. He's a standard. Like, he's the gold standard.
You don't know really too much about football if you don't know Ronnie Lott, bro.
Yeah.
That's just you just got to put the rat on the table. Because
I'll tell you this much. If you at least know about him tearing off his own finger, then I'll be like, I'll be like, okay. You know what I mean? Because that's just one of the many layers that to the legend of Ronnie Lott.
Right.
You know what
I mean, you talking Ronnie Lott, Sean Taylor, Jack Tatum. You know what I'm saying? Like
Tatum,
one of the best safeties ever, dude. You know what I mean? Even Sean Taylor too. As a safety.
You know what?
He was a beast.
You know who I love that safety? I loved the Uso. What was his name? What was Uso boy?
Troy Polamalu. Polamalu was good too. Yeah. Troy Polamalu.
And you know what too? I really loved Earl Thomas for hella years too.
Earl Thomas, remember Atwater, the dude that used to play for Denver? Yeah, him and Christian McCoy used to
Christian
McCoy used to go at it.
Oh,
Nigerian Nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh shit, bro. That shit was epic. They would make you cringe. That's a man's game. You know what?
You know what safety I really fuck with nowadays? Boy, shout out to Derwin James, bro.
Derwin James is a monster. He's elite. Derwin James is elite. You know what though? We can't forget Eric Reed, but even at passing Eric Reed,
Jamal Adams.
The kid, Jamal Adams, bro, and the kid from dude. You know what? I'm not a Raider fan at any slight, but the kid in Oakland,
that safety they got is nasty. Oh, yeah. He's the free safety.
He can't pronounce Salmon. He said Salmon. He calls it Salmon or whatever to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a baller too, bro. Ball hawk, really aggressive, can hit, you know what I mean, and stuff. So, shout out to him, man. That's actually a good pick.
Okay, so now tell me this: we are Niner fans. Tell me are you with the fuck shit when it comes to these arguments with Raider fans, or are you just someone who lets our play speak for itself?
At the end of the day, bro, like,
Because they don't stop. They don't
I'm
stop.
gonna put the rat on the table, bro. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yes,
in the
okay,
air.
yes.
So
That was a trick question.
Yeah, you a Niner or a Raider. But at the end of the day, it's like, you can't compare the two, right? You know what I'm saying? Like what did Jay say? You know what I'm saying? What's the difference between a 4.6 and a 4.0 or something? You know what I'm saying? Like we're just in a different class. You know what I'm saying? The Raiders are not on our level at any point in time or anything. Organization wise, we're better. The history of players were better. Super Bowl rings were better. Stadium, now they might be better as far as stadium wise, though, right? You know what I mean? The only thing they can fall back on is like fan base. Okay, I get it, but I really don't know any highly educated football Raider fans. You know what I mean? There's a small group out there, but most of them just go for the tailgate. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing the first thing they say is, our tailgate's better.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
You know what, though, too? They took pride in that so much because in reality, for a long time, that's all they really had. Like,
they couldn't do nothing else, right?
And then they would go in the game, get hot at losing, and then stab people. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Raider Nation.
Right. And it reminds me of like how football is now, right? Like, they have all these extra stats, like gym stats. Oh,
advanced stats.
Dude is the best in the history at converting 4th and 34s. You know what I mean? Like, they just basically try to make something up. That has nothing to do with the game.
They'll be like, he has a 70% completion rating in the past 17 games. It's like, well, what about the last 2 games? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what's my favorite is when I get into, because I do this fantasy shit and I get into arguments with people when they're like, bruh, Amari Cooper is this blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, Amari Cooper on a per game basis is trash. He might finish with 1,000 yards plus, but it's because he had 200-yard game here, 160-yard game here.
And Amari Cooper goes off against teams who aren't good.
Yeah,
if you looked at him historically,
he's not good
against people that can play. He can't ball. He's not fast. He's not even a possession receiver. No. So if you're not fast, the first thing you got to do is catch the ball. Yeah. And the dude don't catch the ball, bro. He literally leads leagues and drops. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, you're not
and for a couple years, he had that title. He had, I think, like 2 different seasons he led in the most drops.
Absolutely. Which is another reason why Dallas ain't going to go nowhere, right? Because you pay him instead of paying Dak. You know what I mean?
I really love Michael Gallup, though.
Gallup's a great. Yeah. He's a good little slot receiver, man. Yeah. He's really good, but he's the type of guy that
they can line him out wide too. They can line him out wide too. You know what I mean? But yeah, well, maybe you know what's crazy is I am definitely a Michael Gallup truther. So it's like, you know how that is. Like when you have a certain affinity for a player. There's pretty much, you'll make a lot of arguments for him.
You slide it. You see eyes do a different thing. It's like being in a bad relationship. You know what I'm saying? Everybody telling you it's toxic, but you still in it. No, I love her. You know what I mean?
and you know what? It's usually the sex icon letting you know, hey, bro, that bitch ain't for you, dog.
Exactly.
The sex icon knows her women.
Your advice, let me know, because, my goggles ain't foggy.
You know what I'm saying? He pulls out, he's talking about wipe some off again, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you got the goggles on, B. All right, so tell me about, I mean, how much are we interested in the Broncos solely based on the fact that Vic Fangio's there?
I love Locke, man. I'm a Locke fan.
Me too. That's why I brought that up. Like, that's one of the we argue a lot. Right?
Yeah,
we debate a lot, but I actually said that the other day. I was like, man, I'm so happy we're on the same page with Drew Lock.
Yeah,
I fucking love Drew Lock. He's a star.
Denver has an opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to build something special, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like you got Shaq, right? If you go out and you find Kobe, they got an opportunity to make a run. I mean, I know Kansas City's good and all this stuff like that, but, iron sharpens iron, right?
Bro, their defense, they brought over Jarrell Casey, too.
Right,
so Jarrell Casey, Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, that's going to be a monster line.
It is. And that line is, it should be, a spitting image of the Niners, right? Because,
exactly. Of the Niners that what's his name? The Fangio era. Yeah, hell yeah. Like same way Chicago, the Chicago Bears defense kind of went to shit after Fangio left. You know what I mean? Like that's a testament. Is that a word? That's a testament to great coaching. You know, I've had a few. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I know I heard you over there. You was burning up, right? You was burning a little thing down. I'll tell you this much. I'm so glad in this Corona climate confinement that I could kick it with my mans in this fashion, at least. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
I'm telling you this much. I had a breakfast burrito, and then I'm having brunch. Fucking shots and Bud Light, give me money. You know what I mean? Tito's, give me money. Like, and I'm having a great time doing this episode.
But how many times do you eat a day? Because I eat about 8 times a day. I want to say that.
Oh, in this climate?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what? So I eat like 4 times a day, but it's literally 3 times in the middle of the night. Like, I'm grubbing while the kids are asleep because it's like I'm a madman where like, shut up, I'm fucking eating. So it's like I'd rather just wait till it's quiet. Like, you know, I probably get that from my dad. I remember my dad would always be like, I'm trying to eat, and I'm like, well, how am I?
There's a few people out there. Like I'm the guy who, if you wake me up, like if I'm sleeping, like
don't wake him up.
Bro. Yeah, don't do that, bro. Like
don't wake him up, man.
Everybody got their vices, you know what I mean?
I'm telling you, I've seen him whip the dreads, wrap it around someone's neck, and whip him over and let him know, motherfucker, don't you wake me up.
True meaning to shake the dreads, right?
Yes, you know what I'm saying? He uses the dreads like tentacles. They're like extra extremities, you know what I'm saying?
Extracurricular deals. You know?
I see him, he comes through, he's talking on the phone, the dreads is holding it to the ear. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
I've seen him rack broads, holding him with the dreads. You know what I'm saying? He's the sex icon for a reason, motherfucker.
Like Scorpion from
Mortal Kombat.
You know, for sure.
Yes. All right. So now, if you could describe your music in one, I mean, obviously you could. The chalk answer would be he's the sex icon, but. What if you could describe your music in one word? I mean, I could think of several different words that might suffice, but personally, when you talk about your music, if you were to tell someone that didn't know about you, in this case, the Playmakers, the ones that aren't familiar with you, how would you describe your music?
One word, I would say polished.
Polished. Ooh, that's a good
polish
one.
Would be a word.
I gotta wake the Jamaicans up. Wake up, Jamaicans.
Polish and puns. You know what I'm saying? That's it, man.
I was definitely gonna say well-rounded, and I was definitely gonna say solid, and I was gonna say, you know what I mean? But damn, polished takes the cake.
Polished and puns, man. I'm a perfectionist, you know what I'm saying? So I don't need to make sure.
When you see that polished gold medal shining around his neck, you know that he got it from the sex games.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? He was on that podium. You know what I'm saying? He was sitting at the top. He wasn't rock. This ain't the bronze sex icon. This is the gold medalist.
That's just me in general. If you see me out in the town too, you know I'm gonna be polished in general as a person. You know what I mean? So you got some Ric Flair.
You got some Ric Flair to you.
Little flamboyant, little swagger, right?
Yeah, just a tad. He's being modest, Playmakers. Hey, can I claim the fame a little bit? At our last show. You know what I'm saying? I was faded as fuck off some Tito's like I am right now.
Yeah,
and when I seen you, I was spent, bro. You know what I mean? Like, people were like, "Oh, your microphone didn't work." No, I was faded. You know what I mean? Right? So I remember approaching you and I was like, "It's the motherfucking sex icon in the flesh." So can I claim the fame? Was that when the sex icon title? I mean, you were always the sex icon, but did you don the title?
It took off from there. So
you hear that, Playmakers?
You know what I'm saying?
You hear that, Playmakers?
You get that percentage on the royalties. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh yeah. We road warriors for sure. I like that.
It was a pause moment at the moment, but then you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All pause. I might need to get a pause drop.
I was like, I ain't judging, bro. You know what I'm saying? But it's like,
yeah, but it was I'm calling a spade a spade. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There you go.
I'm a heterosexual man, and I'm perfectly comfortable with my sexuality to tell. Call a spade a spade. When he's a sex icon, it will be known as such. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to be modest. You know, and then I know we're not gonna get the sex games are gonna be because of Corona. But you know what I'm saying? It gives all these other contenders to work on it gives them a chance to work on their stroke. You know what I'm saying? The gold medalist reigns supreme.
Yes,
he's
sir.
the sex icon. He's the sex symbol. He's the sex reverend of the sex ministry.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Tell the playmakers where they can find you. And then after that, tell us what to expect from the sex icon, Cell One himself. You know what I mean? Musically and just in life in general.
I mean, the easiest way to get to me, man, Google CEL, put a space in it. ONE, Cell One, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'll pop up all of that Google.
Google.
Search, you know what I'm saying? Let's do it like that, you know?
Yeah.
Instagram, we there, you know what I'm saying? Facebook, all that good stuff, man. Cell One pops up everywhere, so I'm not hard to find at all, man.
Yeah. Okay,
not
so
hard to find.
Before we close up, it's something I've been asking all the guests on the pod. So what is the Corona confinement like for you? You said you're eating 6-7 times a day, right? Like he's trying to get to the next weight class and shit.
I'm probably maybe getting to that super heavyweight status.
He's about to be the heavyweight champ of the sex Olympics. You know what I'm saying?
5 weight classes, you know what I'm saying?
I know you said you eat 7-8 times a day. And I know you a cooking motherfucker. Are you whipping it up all day?
Oh, absolutely, man. Because we are football based, you know what I'm saying? So just coming
so eating proper is
you gotta
key.
be big. And
yeah.
People don't realize humans aren't naturally big. You gotta work at it, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lifestyle, and my youngest plays football, and he's a running back. He's about 120 pounds, and he's in 7th grade, so we got to get him up to about 140, 150.
Yeah, by the time he gets to high school,
exactly.
Yeah, because then by the time he gets to college, he'll be 180,
200. Yeah,
200. Yeah, because 200 is about the weight for a great running back.
Absolutely. Especially as a freshman in college, you be acceptable at 200 and be working, right? Because colleges won't even let you play if you 180, 160.
Oh, yeah.
They'll rest
at running back,
They'll say sit down. Yeah, they'll say sit down, bulk up. So, my life is about bulk, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what we're doing. So I'm in the kitchen, you know what I'm saying, cooking.
Tell me what's a Cell One go-to dish? Like when, you know what I'm saying? What would I expect if I was having dinner at the sex icon's palace? You know what I'm saying?
If we want to go easy and quick, spaghetti is always the easy.
Ooh, and let's get the bulk on too.
Absolutely.
Are you ground turkey or are you ground beef?
You know what? I'm straight ground beef. You know what I'm saying? Give me that. Give me that. We don't do the lean either. You know what I'm saying?
Give me the 80% fat. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let it be delicious.
Right. But if I'm trying to flex, you know what I'm saying? I'll do some jambalaya.
I see you. I was about to say. I've seen you throw down on some mean jambalaya.
I can flex a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
I remember one time you was like, bruh, are you going to the game? And then I was like, yeah. And you're like, fuck, I'm not going to the game, but go ahead and go to my tailgate. You're like,
absolutely,
they'll take care of you. They got the jambalaya popping on. I was like, oh shit.
Absolutely. Shout out to my uncle too, man, because as far as Magnum and coming in the 49ers, you can always find him there at the games and stuff like that. So we always got a representative there, bro. So they can't say we ain't never been there. It's been going back since Candlestick days, man. So we've been a staple at that thing, man. So.
Damn, you know what? I got one more. For you. Give me, tell me one of your greatest Niner memories at being at the game, like.
Candlestick or Levi's?
Let's go with Candlestick.
I think they're different, okay? Because
yeah.
Candlestick to me is different, right? Because that's where my heart is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where I come from. But my greatest memory ever is that I'm going to take it back to when Terrell Owens was still on the team.
Okay.
So I had end zone seats for that playoff game when they played the Giants. Remember that?
Oh, my God. You seen the catch, too?
No. So I don't know if that was the catch, too, because remember we were down by like 21 or something like that, right? And then that was when T.O. was like, Strahan, he went up to Strahan. Strahan's like, look at the scoreboard. So legit, every single touchdown was scored in my end zone. First half, Giants lit us up. They were up 28-7
so when
or
they
something like
field,
that. Exactly. The Niners ended up coming back on that game. Woo! So, I still remember the girls that I was with a family. I was with my coworker, and then he was with her dad, and then they had a daughter. And, she was always telling me, just believe. She's like, believe. I was mad. I was ready to go. But I came with them,
Wow.
So I'm done.
Hey, laws of attraction is a motherfucker.
Absolutely. She kept telling me, I'll never forget her. She's like, just believe. I was like, all right. Here they come.
You really wanted to be like, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about?
But I came with them. You know what I'm saying? I was riding their train, So I was like, man, And we ended up coming back winning that game, bro. It was crazy, man. So ever since that day, I never gave up hope. You know what I mean? I've always rode it to the end.
Okay, I got one for you. I was I was a season ticket holder for the last year at Candlestick, and then for the first couple of years. I mean, actually until now. I'm not a season ticket holder because I was going half with my boy, and then all of a sudden him and his wife were like, well, next year we're just going to take over everything. And I'm like, great. As soon as we get good, I'm like, motherfucker. But anyways, so I remember, here's my one of my greatest memories is we were at we were at Candlestick. It was Monday night. It was the last game at Candlestick. It was the Falcons versus us, obviously, Candlestick, obviously. But I was like, it was the Falcons versus. I'm like, oh yeah. Anyways, right? Like when the crowd is when we're on defense and the crowd's boom boom defense, boom, right? Till this day, and even back then, it's always for me. It's always boom boom pick six, boom boom pick six. I'm greedy. I'm calling for that every time. And bro, like we're like I said, we're season ticket holders, so we knew all the cats around us, right? And because Candlestick was like that, motherfuckers went to their games. They didn't sell their, you know what I mean? If you're a season ticket holder, you're probably there. You know what I mean? So we knew all the motherfuckers. We had aisle seats, so like I had I was able to stand up and do my thing in the stairs. You know what I mean? Without blocking no one's vision. So like we were always just stupid lit, and I would be in the stairs. Pick six, doom, doom, pick six, and like me and my boys, we were on that hype, boom, boom, pick six, all of us, bro. When we fucking and I had it rallied in my section, bro. When Bowman picked him off and ran that thing back, bro. There was this white dude, right? Yeah. Shout out to this random white dude. Actually, he actually follows me on Instagram, but this and because of this moment, he comes down the stairs. He was like above us, and he comes down the stairs. I feel somebody grab me from behind. I turn around like, what the fuck? And he grabs me by the shirt, and he's like, the whole game, you were rallying it. You were calling it out the pigs. And he's like, babe, come here. Take a picture with me and this guy right here. And bro, I'm like, and I'm like, send me that picture. He's like, what's your Instagram? And bro, he sent me the picture. And bro, it was one of the greatest moments because I feel like I called that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it happened. You put it into the universe, bro.
Yes. The laws of attraction.
And on top, who in the history of the NFL had a better send-off to their stadium? Last game in that stadium. Like, you can't never write a better story for any team leaving the area, going to a new one as far as shutting down the stadium. Like, grand opening, grand closing right there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's another feather on our cap,
Yeah. Okay, so we're legit going to close this thing out. Just tell me, now give me a Candlestick moment, and I got one too. A Candlestick Levi's moment, I'm sorry.
Levi's. Oh man, definitely Minnesota. It gets no better than that. Like so
I've done, the first playoff game.
Dude, I've done WrestleMania at Levi's. So that was my Levi's moment. It wasn't even about football today.
I remember in the thread, you said something that was such an understatement because it was so fucking real. Like you were like, bro, you guys don't know how fucking loud that shit got. Like,
it was crazy.
I know, and I was there. I went, I went to both playoff games. It was a can't miss, right? Like you had.
It was
I knew
crazy.
you was there. You know what I'm saying? But bro, that shit was fucking nuts.
Minnesota, as far as the energy, just the vibes, you know what I'm saying, and understanding, like, that was Candlestick, you know what I'm saying, but that was Levi's as well as Candlestick. It was the combination of the two coming together, you know what I'm saying? Like, people can say, oh, well, you're not filling up the stadium on a regular. Like, that's just life, you know. For one, we live in the Bay Area, so you got to make business decisions to go to football games, right? Yes. And, you know, I have a family, right? So if I'm bringing
because
my family,
it's expensive, like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, it's hella money. Like, it's a chore.
That's why I like being a season ticket holder. I'm like, at least, like, I'm being a season ticket holder. Like, I'm in there now that we're good again. Now we're good again, and I'm not a season ticket holder this year. I'm like, fuck, dude.
But you know it's crazy though, because I had tickets from Candlestick, but then when you sit down and you talk about the PSLs. Now you're into a whole new different world too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So some of us just got phased out. So, you know, that was
true.
My time where it was like, okay, I can pick and choose games now that I want to go to.
Yeah.
You know, so that they forced me to become that fan, right? I was the every Sunday dude, you know, buying my tickets for $30-$40.
Right.
You know, you get down here, you know, okay, now these tickets are, you know, $200-$300 each. Plus you got to pay me this chunk of change too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, they phased that type of fan out, man. So, you know what?
It's like you got to be a faithful now. You got to have money too. It's like
you have to. With the team, real estate,
and
right?
all you playmakers that are part of our Niner gang, I want you motherfuckers to get your bread up because we need y'all in the building.
Yes.
We can't have these rich folks. And it, like how what happened to the Warriors, where it's like, bro, like these rich folks might be too uppity to like go ahead and scream for the motherfucker.
Hey, football now in the Bay Area is just like rap. It's not a 4 minutes game. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, check this out. I got one. I got a Levi's one, and this is partly my claim to fame because my boy, my partner in crime that was there with me, right? He can attest to this. Same thing, like with the pick at the stick. He was there with me, and so we're at the NFC Championship. And when Bosa is down, I swear to God, I started the Bosa chant. I swear to God. I don't care who's out there claiming they started it. Me and my section had that thing lit. And bro, we resurrected him from the dead.
He came up like the Undertaker, bro.
He came up like the fucking Undertaker.
But he popped out the casket, bro.
Oh my God. Hey, I mean, I know there's several people claiming the fame. But, bro, and maybe that's me trying to replicate my pick at the stick moment.
Right.
But, bro.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're a reputable guy, so I'm going to say it happened.
Yeah, there you go.
Those are two big moments, you know what I'm saying?
The sex icon said it. I'm going with his version. His version is real.
Y'all know Boogie got good credit out here, bro. So, you know what I'm saying?
Bro. This was, you know, I like to say I keep outdoing myself with these episodes, and this one definitely takes the cake, man. It was a hell of an episode.
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, you knew it was gonna be like this. You know what
I knew it.
High standards going in. You know what I'm saying?
There was a little pressure. But pressure makes diamonds. We pulled it through. You know what I'm saying, man?
Like Katie to the Warriors, man.
I encourage everybody to go to Google Cell One, CEL space ONE.
ONE, yes,
bro,
sir.
Google this, man. I mean, if you're trying to have children right now and you need something to play while you're laying down that stroke you've been practicing, go ahead and slap you some sex games.
Yes,
go ahead and slap you some Cell One in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I appreciate the support.
And let it, spoiler alert. I didn't want to spoil it for you and let the people know, but he does have his own condom coming out. You know what I'm saying? It's the sex icon condom. The sex eye condom is what they call it. You heard of the iPhone? He has the sex eye condom. It's on the way.
Face on it too. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I like what the fuck the Tiger King. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, that motherfucker was a trip.
Let's go.
Yeah. Cell One, man.
Yes,
it was a pleasure. You know what I mean? Be safe out there.
Man, you too.
Much success on all your endeavors. You know what I'm saying? Let me know next time you whip up some of that jambalaya. I'll pick up a plate. For sure, you know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
man, just thank you again, my brother. This was great, man. This was
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I had fun. Shout out to yourself for giving me the platform, to be able to talk.
It's
too, you know what I'm saying?
Sue platform or what is it? Sue Casa, me Casa, whatever the saying is.
Sir.
You know what I'm saying?
I had to come through and suplex this thing.
You feel me? Off the top rope, even.
Yes, sir. That's
You
super
feel me?
flex.
Woo! In true Ric Flair fashion, I think we could describe this episode in that one word, and that's woo!
Yes, sir.
Show my brother, you have a good one, man. Stay safe in this corona climate confinement, and man, I'll see you overground.
You too, man. Thank you.
Show my brother.
All right.
Peace. Once again, that was the sex symbol. That was the sex reverend of the sex ministry. It's the gold medalist of the sex games and the sex Olympics. Shout out to our guest. Thank you again, Cell One. Hey, hit subscribe, leave a comment, fuck with it.